I will be gone.
And we're live. So hello, everybody coming back from lunch. I hope that the lunch was good and you're eating some tasty things. Again, I want to give a short note to all of our listeners that the most active participants in today's Q&A sessions are going to win ebook prizes from our sponsors back. So use the Q&A function inside this inside here to ask questions to Gjore, who will be able to answer them to you, and you'll have a chance to win a prize. Now I'd like to introduce you to Gjore Zaharchev.
Hello?
Can you hear me? Gjore?
I cannot hear. Something went wrong on my side. Sorry.
So while Gjore is reconnecting, I'll continue. So Gjore Zaharchev, who is from Macedonia, and he's going to be talking to you about improving regression testing in Agile and how to make it more effective. So Gjore, can you hear me now?
Yep, now it's better. Sorry, my computer crashed, so sorry about the delay.
No problem. I was just finishing up introducing you. So now you're introduced and can start your talk.
Thank you. I hope you can see my screen, just if you can confirm me.
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So yeah, today I'm going to talk about very interesting topic, very interesting to me, about improved regression testing or effective regression testing that I'm calling. So it's not about doing a regression testing. It's not about just doing the hard way. It's just doing the smart way. So that is my motto. So one question that all of you have, maybe, who am I? I'm Gjore Zaharchev, Quality Assurance Line Manager at Sivus Group. Recently, we were acquired by Ricoma Group. So software testing consultant. I work as a software testing consultant with a lot of clients. 14 plus years hands-on experience, almost 15 in few months, in 2 months actually. I'm teaching software testing. I'm leading a software testing academy in Skopje, Macedonia. I'm responsible for leading several groups, and usually we have 100 students per year that we are covering. Conference and testing meetup speaker. So some of you may have met me at some of the conferences. Test automation and agile testing evangelist. I want to talk a lot about test automation and agile testing. So that's why I'm calling myself an evangelist. Sometimes can be boring. I'm also a CETTB board member for Macedonia. That is the Southeast European Testing Board from ISTQB, the board for Southeast Europe from ISTQB. And that's all about me. Today I'm going to talk about several things. First of all, I'm going to talk how we are doing regression testing at them. What are the ways that I've seen that the regression testing is done? I'm seeing this for a lot of clients that are new to Sivus and a lot of clients that are already with Sivus. So I have this is based on a lot of cases, because we are, as a Sivus, we are more than 900 people, and as a Ricoma, we are more than 3,000 people. So I've seen a lot of cases. That's why I have divided them, how companies are doing it. In order to come to a better way, we need to understand what is regression testing. So this is the key concept, that we need to understand what we are doing in order to do it. The third thing is how to improve the regression testing in Agile world. This is also applicable in Waterfall, is also applicable anywhere, but yeah, I want to say it in Agile. And some short summary and recommendations. First of all, the question we need to ask ourselves, how we do the regression testing. I've seen this, that even people are claiming that they are Agile, they are not doing regression testing. After every sprint, they're not doing the regression testing after some iteration, but they're doing the regression testing after some period. This period can vary from 6 months to 1 year, so I put it as 1 year. So they're doing regression testing, and they have dedicated 3 months only sprints that are doing regression testing. In the meantime, developers are going with development new features. No one is involved in testing these two features, but they're too busy with doing regression testing because they will improve their idea is that they are going to improve the overall quality of the product. 1 year period is too much and it's too late. The other case is some agile approach. Doing an agile approach, 2-week sprints, but doing regression testing for 4 days. Developers are still developing, the application is still undergoing, but yeah, we are doing regression testing. I don't know why so much time and what we need to cover, but yeah, that means that we didn't finish the testing on time. This is some other approach I've seen, 2+1 development. So and this is the worst case maybe of all of these three. This is the worst case. So developers are developing during 2 weeks. Testers are doing some tests. Developers are starting next sprint in the week 3, and testers are starting regression testing. So starting in week 3 regression testing, focusing only on regression testing for this 3rd week is also a nonsense because it doesn't bring any results, because either people are too busy with focusing on the new tasks, with clarifying the things. Testers are not involved in the planning. Then the development sprint is going far with the developing of new features. Testing is not completed. Testing is not done. So on the regression testing week, you need to focus on test everything instead of testing new functionalities. Just do a retest on what was needed for the regression testing. Even the term, I was hoping that this term code freeze will die, I don't know, 15 years ago, but definitely still not dying. They're doing some code freeze. No one is allowed to touch the environment during that period. But because they have a lot of undelivered functionalities, this code freeze never happens in reality. They are just calling, we have a code freeze. Why? The period of execution is very long. For 2-week sprint to execute a 1-week regression testing, or for 3-week sprint, 1-week regression testing is too long. Period is way too long. Focusing on non-functional things. If you focus on non-functional things, that means that you didn't do your homework previously. So didn't do your, actually not homework, but your work previously. So yeah, definitely you didn't complete on time. So the other option is that test suits are increasing every sprint, and they're not revised at any point. So I had one situation several years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, when a candidate came to an interview, and I asked her, why do you want to leave your current company? The answer was, I want to leave my current company because they're not hiring enough people. Why hiring enough people? Because we have sprint iterations, and every sprint we are increasing the regression time. We are doubling the regression time. Doubling, why? Because we need to test everything from the previous sprint and everything from this sprint. So you want to say in sprint 11, you want to test everything from 0 sprint to 10 and plus sprint 11. She said, yeah, of course, there is no other way. And she was rejected, of course, because in order to achieve that, you need to hire every sprint one more person, which is too expensive to have a product to them. So you need to shut down your company and go home. My company doesn't work for products, it works for customers and for clients, actually, and we build solutions for them. So if we set this to customers, we will increase your price every week by one person. That will cost that and that much money, and we'll never get a business, which doesn't make sense, right? In order to solve these problems, in order to overcome these problems, we need to come to an answer: what is regression testing? Yeah, regression testing, if you ask developers, when you fix one bug, you introduce several few newer bugs. So, you know the joke, 88 bugs, one solved and 144 now. So, yeah, definitely this is not a regression testing. Regression testing is about something else. If we read the definition from several sources, we'll notice regression testing is a type of software testing that ensures that previously developed and tested software still performs the same way after it is changed or interacted with other software. So everything that is previously developed is still stays with the changes or interactions from other software. So you're asking the question, do I need to test everything? Because not everything was changed, and I know what was changed. Changes may include software enhancements, patches, configuration changes, etc. So imagine you have a patch and you need to test everything. Why? Patch interacts only one thing, let's say one simple field, some validation. During regression testing, new software bugs or regression may be uncovered. Sometimes a software change impact analysis is performed to determine which areas could be affected by the proposed changes. So, yeah, we know that one of the definitions. What are the techniques by these definitions? So, regression testing, we have regression test selection technique, prioritization of test cases, and retest all. To be honest, let's start and hybrid model. Retest all, if I start from retest all, maybe it is something that is normal for, uh, I don't know how to say, a waterfall world. Yeah, it was normal in waterfall. We will stop everything. We will go to a war room, collect there 50, 60, 100 people, sit there, eat pizza, drink Coke, and drink beer and solve problems. We will test regression for 2, 3 months. Doesn't make sense in real life, but yeah, we're developers, testers. We don't have life, maybe. I'm just kidding. So yeah, that was maybe retest all some I don't know. Strange things are happening during these 2 years or 3 years of developing of a product. So maybe it does make sense, but in Agile doesn't make sense at all. Regression test selection, yeah, it sounds reasonable, but the question is what to select. Yeah, I will put 1 to 3 priorities. One will be critical, two will be high, three will be low or medium or low. And I will test first of all everything with critical. What is critical? Everything is critical and nothing is critical. I have seen this scenario also of test case regression test selection, and actually that is the prioritization test cases. So they're prioritizing just by some random reason. I have, I don't know, five test cases with some functionality. I will choose 2 that are critical, 2 that are medium, and 1 that is low. Which of them do we need? All of them, and so on. And the hybrid model is some combination between all of them. So this is some definition. If we check the pesticide paradox, and that thing that I mentioned earlier at the beginning, if the same tests are repeated over and over again, eventually the same set of test cases will no longer find any new defects. So if we analyze this sentence, we'll come to a conclusion that repeating the same test over and over again every iteration, or every day if we automate, we can do it on daily basis, will not bring any results. So if we test the same thing, even retest all if we apply, and automate everything from retest all, and do the same test over and over again, we will not find bugs. Why? Because our tests will become immune to the changes, to the issues in the application. We don't see the big picture. We don't see the new things. We don't see the changes. So we think that we have a good coverage, but to be honest, I haven't found a way to measure good coverage. Even there are tools for code coverage, there are tools for requirement coverage, but that is not the solution because you're testing coverage on something that is present, but you're not testing on something that is absent, for example, for the requirements. So you're testing the existing requirements, but not the the lack of requirements, something that you don't have. How you're going to and you're saying, yeah, I have excellent coverage, and I've measured that my regression tests are. You've covered the requirements, but something that was implemented out of the requirements with some meeting, secret society meeting, developer and the business analyst, and you didn't notice that there is something new. Some facts about the regression testing. Regression testing is performed when changes are made to the existing functionality of software, or if there is a bug fix in the software. The second thing, regression testing can be achieved through multiple approaches. If a test all approaches follow it, it provides certainty that the changes made to the software have not affected the existing functionality, which is unaltered. So yeah, if it's unaltered, we don't expect some big changes. If an agile project management process where the software development life cycles are very short, resources are scarce, and changes to the software are very frequent, regression testing might introduce a lot of unnecessary overhead. So imagine that we all have, I've worked on a project where we have daily releases. It was for internal organization because we also do a lot of softwares for clients that will use internally. So they have acceptance testing team that is first of all checking that software for the next 2 weeks and they prior to release in the production environment. And these we were doing on daily basis. We were feeding them on daily basis, and actually instead of waiting for 2 weeks, they were also delivering 1 day delay, and they were delivering to production. So imagine that you need to do a regression testing in such setup. So or to do in a DevOps environment where you need to develop and release 5 to 6 times a day. So imagine that case. So you will say, yeah, we are abandoning regression testing. Is useless. We don't need the regression testing. This is something that doesn't bring any results and so on and so on. In an Agile project management, there is a solution for that. I will give you the solution. In an Agile project management process, where the software development life cycles are very short, resources, yeah, we read about that. Performing regression testing on a third-party component is difficult because it's an unknown entity. Sometimes people are also, and I'm facing that maybe on daily basis to explain to people, they're focusing on regression testing on some third-party systems. They provided some sandbox. Sandbox is almost not working. Sometimes you need to forget about these sandboxes and testing some third-party vendors where you don't have agreement to test. Why? Because companies have a mutual agreement. If there are some failures in the connections, in the proposed request, in the proposed REST API responses, so they how they're charging that, are they going to pay, are they not going to pay? So don't focus on that. Because as I mentioned, when I reviewed the work of few teams, they were focusing on testing some taxing and it was some sort of taxing European taxing engine, and it was something related with some commissions for different countries, and they were testing a system that is not even in production. And my idea was in that case, let's contact the supplier and ask, is this solution equivalent to the production solution? And the supplier said, no, this very old version that we just provide simple request response. It's just simulator that simply responds with something. Spent months with writing tests that are not even needed. So if you have such cases for third-party vendors, just communicate with the management why to test some third-party vendor that we're not paid for. Just have them sign some contract that they will cover it and don't care about that solution. Let's focus on the proper way how to do a regression testing, not how it was done. So I'm proposing very interesting heuristic about dividing everything in 6 groups. This is not something that I invented. It's invented 10 years ago. Somebody came up with an idea. I think that it was Karen Johnson, something like that was her last name. The first name is definitely Karen. So what are the 6 groups? If we ask what to divide, what are the 6 groups? First group is recent. What was recently developed? So yeah, I know what was recently developed. The last sprint, I know exactly what was introduced and what I need to cover. So usually I'm doing a smoke tests on daily basis with the recent changes. I'm doing the additional testing. I can extract some things out of these recent changes. The next thing is, what are the core functionalities of the system? Even the system was intact, even no one touched the system. What are the core functionalities of the system? We also do this on daily basis. We are calling it smoke test. So yeah, maybe someone has a different definition because they're out there on the internet. There are a lot of definitions because one client is saying the core functionalities that are sanity testing, and the recent functionalities are just recent functionalities. Regardless of the definition, we're already doing this. Then if we divide, so we have 2 groups of tests that we're doing on daily basis, and then can we repeat in few, I don't know, less than an hour sometimes. Then we go with the risky functionality. What is risky to be released? What we cannot, uh, how to say, what is some payments maybe here are coming and so on and so on. So what we need to cover it most. Then configuration sensitive. We test it in one environment, we need to do regression testing in another environment. Let's test the configuration sensitive things, connecting to third-party systems, connecting to internal components, servers, databases, and so on and so on. What was recently repaired? What were the defects that are reported? And they were repaired. So I have the list. If I can go in my backtracking tool or any tool that we use, so I can say a list. In the last week, I have this list that was solved. I did a retest, but I need to do it again once again. Why? Because yeah, with the Git and Mercurial, the version distributed version controlling systems, this is something that cannot happen. But long time ago, when we used CVS and SVN, very often developers were overriding the solutions. So if I develop some solution, the other developer is not merging the code. He's just overriding my solution. Even you tested as a tester my solution. Tomorrow the solution is not working. These things are rare now, but yeah, let's be on the safe side. These are 10, 15 defects. I don't know, half an hour, 2 hours maximum to do it for one person. And actually the last step is what is chronically broken. So what is constantly not working? There's such things that are constantly broken. 1 thing, 2 things per sprint. Usually, I don't know, 5 minutes will take to test these things. And there are 2 solutions for the chronic stuff. Either to do a code refactoring on that section, or either to fire the developer who is working on that section. So yeah, there is no other solution for the chronic part. So yeah, actually explains the groups, what need to be done with each group separately. What new features or new areas of code has been added? What changed recently? So what new features? We know the features. What are the new features? We already discussed this on the sprint planning meeting. We already discussed on the backlog grooming meeting. Yeah, what changed recently? We have a delivery log. We have access to Git. We know everything what was changed. What testing around these changes should I think about? Yeah, what else maybe the impact in this? So if I change, because we change in the email validation on the registration, maybe I need to check the email validation on the user update profile. I'm just giving a simple examples. Our products are not very simple, like update user form, or we don't even have a user registration forms. But this is a very simple example where we use the same validation for one field. Or if I validate the decimal points or calculations on the for some e-commerce site on the cart page and on the final payment page, because someone changed in the card page, let me validate, is everything done on the final payment, because maybe we have discrepancy between these two pages. That's the idea. Then we have what essential or critical functions or features must continue to work. What does this application primarily do? So yeah, we know this, we have this, we are executing this as a build validation on daily basis. So when we do a deployment, we do a smoke test. So we do a build validation on daily basis, build verification testing. What is risky? What features of areas of code are inherently more risky? So payments, I don't know, some updates in databases, maybe some regulations with the government, stuff like that. What features of the application do I want to safeguard? So what is very important? For example, imagine you're doing gambling software, and that software need to be connected with the financial institution in the country, especially in Macedonia, need to be connected. So if you have discrepancy between the two systems, they will shut down your business forever. So this happened several times because they want to take money and not give to the government, and they shut down them and took the machines. So if you're building such software, you need to ensure that this need to be safeguarded, because we will lose the business. Configuration sensitive. Meaning what code is dependent on the environment settings? Emails, the email addresses that will send emails, phone numbers that are configured if you press a button to call that number, for example. Because in testing environment, we are sending emails to our own email addresses, but in production environments, we're sending to some specific department, for example. Payment processing, and so on and so on. What testing do I want to plan based on the environment? This testing might include planning a subset of test production after go live. So very often we are, beside the core functionalities, beside the smoke test, we need to choose few configuration sensitive tests to do it in production also. This is a very good candidate. So running, I don't know, 20-25 minutes of test in production will save you a lot sometimes, including the smoke and the configuration sensitive. So just this 25 minutes will save your life. Maybe it sometimes will be 5 minutes, but yeah, let's say that the worst case scenario. So the other thing is repaired. How often should a defect be retested? So once it's repaired, I'm retesting it. And at the end, if it's critical, retest again. If it's high, retest again. If it's low, don't worry about it. Don't care about it. It's cosmetic issue. What code? So how many of these you will have in at the end? 5 tickets, 25 minutes. What code has been changed to address defects and therefore may have created issues? What testing do I want to be based on defects fixes? So what additionally maybe cost? What maybe is broken now, and so on and so on. Chronic. So what is constantly broken? Either fire the developer or just do a refactoring. No other solution in this area. Try with data migrations. This is very important, especially in the billing systems. How, because I've reported several such bugs in real banks, because I'm using a lot mobile banking and stuff like that. I love mobile and e-government, e-banking, and so on. So I'm reporting defects constantly on daily basis to all the institutions that sometimes I don't even need something, but I'm testing their applications for fun, and I'm repeating this. Why? Because when they're releasing a new solution, they don't worry about the old data. So what happened with the Societe Generale Bank a few years ago? They released a new application of the mobile application. Then they didn't include the history of the payments. They didn't include anything in the history. So I don't know how they missed this. So they test only with new accounts. Creating a new account, just checking is everything correctly, and they don't care about already existing solutions. Societe Generale in Macedonia, now it's not anymore. They sold because of bad decisions. They sold the company to I think Parkhas Erste Group, something like that. Don't data, historic data. Without proper testing, there is no warranty that the system will behave in the same way with all data too. So don't forget, because someone changed maybe email address or phone number 50 times. Because he changed phone number or email address for 50 times, maybe the system will limit that and will allow changes only 5 times. So what will happen with the extra changes? Maybe the account will be, how to say, problematic, will give results and will not display results. So imagine you have some page with table and pagination, and you have, I don't know, found 1,000 results, and if you scroll through the pagination, you're seeing only 100 results. Why? Because somehow they don't have a mechanism, or they changed the query to display only 100 results, and so on. Infrastructure-related tests, this is very similar to the configuration sensitive, but sometimes we need to run some tests. Maybe REST API tests are more ideal or some performance tests actually are more suitable here, just to see how the environment interacts. Maybe someone by some mistake during the development did the change, increased the number of active users through the service gateway, or decreased, or regardless. Time, how frequent are our releases? Plan this. So if we have release, I don't know, every 2 weeks, why you need to have a shortest possible regression test? How often we are getting late change requests? If we are getting late change requests on the last day, we need shorter time of execution. Are developers still delivering even on the last day? Are my testing colleagues available at the time dedicated for regression testing? Is my previous story testing quality enough? These are the questions that we need to ask. And someone will say, but I need a lot of time because my project is huge. If your project is huge, you have a bigger QA team. You're not one. If you're one tester, run away from that from that project. Go find another job. When you divide the time, for example, if you're 3 testers and divide the time in some reasonable time, 2-3 hours per person. So if you finish everything in 3 hours, that is reasonable time, or 4 hours, regardless. So you don't have 3 hours of regression test. You have 9 hours of regression test, because multiplied by 3 persons. So this is the idea. Documentation. Maintain simple checklists. Don't go in details. Don't write complicated test cases, because you need to maintain them. Write down the simple checklist where you will describe the functionality in less than 10 words and 1 column for the status. Track results. The most important thing is to track results, and track results with the defects reported, so you will know what is the current defect there. Use mind maps. Easy to use, easy to update. Zero waste. Also, avoid Excel, Words, or similar tools, because you cannot interconnect them with your defects. Just open a simple ticket in your ticketing system. Create a table. Every ticketing system allows that. Create a simple table. You can relate in the table if there are defects. If there are no, mark them as passed. Automated. Automate, but don't focus on the UI. Data creation. Don't waste a lot of time on data creation. Automate that. Automate the web services. A lot of automation will save you hours. Automate the UI, but not in details. Automate some performance tests, as I mentioned, for the infrastructure-related things. Some few short summaries and recap about what we need to do. Regression testing with the current traditional approach is too long and very often useless. We're doing regression testing, we're not finding defects. I mentioned the reasons. Why? Because we're not focusing on what is important, but what we have so far. We have test cases, yeah, we need to go through the test cases. And actually, really, you need to read every time all of the test cases step by step. Log into the application. If you don't know how to log in, what the hell you're doing as a tester then? Of course, you need to log into the application in order to start to use it. Regression testing should focus on testing changed or impacted areas of the system. Having clear and reliable criteria for regression testing can help you a lot to deliver high-quality product in faster time. Regression testing in Agile environment should be testing performed in reasonable time. Few hours. That is reasonable time to me. Sometimes reasonable time is automating, and while I'm arriving to work to have results from the automation. That is reasonable time. Adapting some positive, actually now we are working from home, so reasonable time for preparing my morning coffee. Adapting some positive experiences should be the step one, but you need to adapt it according to your current needs in order to benefit. Yeah, this is one of solutions that works on a lot of projects, but maybe will not work on your solution. So you need to adapt it. You need to see what are the problems and what is needed to be solved. So divide all of the problems first. Using the heuristics such as RC will help you to accomplish faster regression testing and focus on impacted areas. And yep, that is all from my presentation. Are there any questions now?
Thank you, Gjore, for your presentation. When you were talking about developers pushing code at the last day of delivery, I had some flashbacks from the time when I was a tester in a product team, and they were doing just that and breaking things at the last minute. So we have several questions in the Q&A section, and the first question is from Eligius. He is interested in this pesticide paradox that you were talking about. He says that it seems that the idea of regression is not to catch problems in all stuff, or am I missing something? I hope that I'm reading it correct.
As I mentioned in the definition of regression testing, the problem is that there is no common solution for something. Each team, each product has their different opinion of how to do it regression testing. And definitely, regression testing is about to ensure that interacted components are still working. So we cannot prevent, sometimes we don't know who changed where. So pesticide paradox, a lot of, because there is no common definition. I don't know how to simplify the answer, because this is very long answer maybe for the entire presentation. Teams are often thinking that regression testing is about retest all technique. This is the problem that occurs. That's why pesticide paradox is coming to a problem. Regression testing is not about retest all. Regression testing about what is interacted, as I mentioned in some of the things, what was changed to be solved, to be checked again. I hope that I answered the question somehow.
Okay, and we have another similar question from Daria. Maybe I'll read it to you. You'll decide if it's a similar enough question or you want to answer it. Yeah. So how can we make sure that common functions work fine if we will remove tests and mark them as pesticide paradox tests?
The idea, maybe I forget to mention that we have divided everything into groups. The RC heuristic is divided into groups: dynamic things and static things. I didn't mention them because I was talking about recent, core, and so on. What is dynamic? What was recently done? What was done during this sprint? What was done yesterday? What is recently fixed? What is chronic? These are dynamic things. You're not removing the static things, core functionalities, configuration sensitive. So you're on the safe side, but you have two groups of tests. What was previously in the system? One group of tests like core, like risky, and like configuration sensitive. And what was during the last changes, repaired, recent, and chronic. If you divide the things in these two ways, you're not removing everything. Hope that answered this also. Yep.
Thank you for the answer. I think it was very clear. And we have another one, this time from Imantas. And he's asking, assume that you are testing firmware for mass-produced devices that can't be fixed after leaving the factory. Does it seem fair to start tests and only do part of regression testing, even after tiny change of code? It seems like high risk in this business case.
To be honest, I've never tested a firmware and devices and for such devices, so I don't know how it goes. Also, I've never applied this on medical software because there are a lot of how to say these compliances that need to be achieved. So you need to find the proper way for this, and I am not how to say, I don't have I'm not eligible to provide an answer for this.
Yeah, I guess everybody should define their own risks in their own company and then decide what is the best approach. Okay, thank you. Another question is from Andrew. He's asking, can sanity testing be used with scarce resources and short dev cycle, for example, 1 week, or should automate regression tests and run exploratory testing? Or I guess
definitely automate regression tests, run them on daily basis, and a lot of exploratory testing. Again, I will say I'm not sure about firmware and medical solutions, but definitely on most of the cases and all of the other domains, automating, focusing on this. So you will not have a lot to automate if you automate the core, the static part, the core, the risky, and the configuration sensitive. So you have very few tests to automate every time, and you will include in these areas because some of the recent tests may become part of the core functionalities. So think about that. You need to take something from the recent and put it in a core part. Something from chronic and put it somewhere else. So these are definitely this is the approach. You will have a lot of time for testing.
Okay, thank you. And we have one more question from Daria. She's more of asking a
why we should
yeah.
Definitely why avoiding Excel or Word. Why? Because when we are sharing the results, results are not very visible. We are opening a job for one more person. It's very problematic when you have a bigger team of 3 persons. It's very good when you're only one. Use Excel, no one is updating that. But when you need to collect the results from more than 3 persons, someone needs to focus on that. Sometimes we are preparing charts, we are preparing dashboards for the clients and so on. So we cannot provide, how to say, we need to be, we need to provide the results to the management, to the client, and so on. Having that in Excel with a bigger team will be a challenge. For Word, it cannot be achieved at all, to be honest, because in Excel you will generate the results maybe half an hour. You will copy everything, collect everything from few persons, copy, just rearrange. But Word definitely is not the case. So you cannot provide the solid results. If you use a task in Gjore, for example, or Azure DevOps, these charts can be generated from the table, very, very simple. Anyone can look the results. It's pretty, so you're transparent to all of the team members. You're transparent to your client. So because of the transparency.
Okay, and one more question from Pavlos. Could you give any advice on how to politely deal with developers who chronically write do regression of X on their tasks when most likely it is not required? I challenged them, but they're only interested in coding. And I want to say that we have 50 seconds for the stream, so this is the last question.
40. In Macedonia, I repeated this yesterday on one of the panel discussions. In Macedonia, we go to kafana. Kafana is institution. It's not a restaurant. It's institution. You drink with the developer. You get in very good friendship with the developer, and you're solving the things. There is no other way.
Okay, this is an approach that I use in my life too. So okay, thank you, Gjore, for this
Thank
very
you.
interesting presentation. Thank you, audience, for listening, and I will meet everybody else in the next talk. And
Thank
bye bye.
you. Thank you so much. Bye bye.